The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's NAA iSeries webinar. I'm Curtis Kitchen, the Director of Communications for the National Auctioneers Association, and I would like to thank you for joining us for today's newest iSeries installment. iSeries is a free informational webinar series produced by the NAA in order to share auction industry knowledge and insight with NAA members and the general public. We are excited to present today's topic on targeting and profiling customers, but before we do, we want to share more with you about NAA. Headquartered in Overland Park, Kansas, NAA is the world's largest association dedicated to auction professionals and represents the interest of thousands of auction professionals in the United States and across the world. NAA is dedicated to providing educational programming and resources to help members advance themselves professionally. The NAA's mission is to provide critical resources to auction professionals that will enhance their skills and successes, and its vision is that NAA members are the preferred auction professional used in the marketplace. Among resources provided is the iSeries, and today's session will be presented by Casey Roberson. Leading McCurdy Auction's marketing department, Casey brings an entrepreneurial, creative, and analytical mindset. With an ability to move fast and think big, Casey has the adaptability to drive and implement creative marketing strategies designed to achieve maximum exposure and results for minimal cost. As marketing director, Casey is responsible for strategy, planning, leading, and implementing all of McCurdy's marketing campaigns and their brand standards on a variety of platforms, including traditional print, digital, and social media channels. In her career, she has led the McCurdy auction to numerous National Auctioneer Association marketing competition awards, including 13 first place awards, to the 2015 Best in Show for Advertising and PR in Digital and Social, and most recently was awarded the 2017 Marketing Campaign of the Year. Prior to joining McCurdy Auction in Wichita, Kansas, Casey served as marketing manager for a national auto body repair company, where she guided comprehensive advertising and marketing efforts for all Wichita locations. Casey received a dual bachelor's degree in visual communication design and public relations from Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia. Considering that track record, we are extremely grateful Casey is here today to share with all of us. Before the presentation begins, please note that you may take part in the conversation. Type and submit your questions at any time during the presentation, and we will get to as many of them as we can during our brief Q&A period. After that, we will also ask that you please take part in a very short 3-question poll as well. With that, Casey, thank you again and welcome.
Thanks, Curtis. Okay, so thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. We've heard and seen a lot of hype behind Facebook marketing this past year alone, and for good reason. You know, Facebook reported that there are over 1.15 billion people interacting daily on Facebook, increasing 23% alone over the past year. And most of those are daily users that are on for at least 20 minutes a day. So Facebook is definitely a sweet spot for a lot of advertising avenues. But with the recent announcements that Facebook is changing their algorithms to show more messages relating to friends and family, it's got a lot of marketing professionals questioning and restructuring their marketing strategies. Now, today I'm not going to jump into this ever-changing Facebook conversation. And with Facebook earning over $10 billion from ad revenue last quarter alone, it's hard to imagine that they're going to make any drastic changes to the paying ad side of their business. But today what I want to do is take a step back from that, from the world of Facebook, and look at marketing in a broad scope and share with you some steps that we use here at McCurdy and some tools to plan effective marketing and give you guys the power to successfully target and market buyers and sellers and all audiences alike, regardless of media types. This is my information. If you have any questions after this presentation, or if you just need a marketing soundboard, I would love to help you guys out. Shoot me an email and I will see what I can do. So when we think about advertising, many of us think about advertising in more of that traditional sense. You know, we think newspapers, brochures, sales bill, auction signs, all of those. But, you know, if we take a step back, it's 2018 and there are so many more methods out there in the world of marketing that we can utilize to continue to grow and advance all of our businesses. So it's often easy for us to kind of get on the advertising budget, and get excited about the trendy advertising method. The advertising method of the trendy one of the month. You've got Facebook, Snapchat. I heard MySpace was coming back, but I'm not sure if Tom and I still want to be friends. Truly effective marketing doesn't just work because it's trendy. Effective marketing happens when you reach the right buyers with the right medias and the right messages. And when you bring all of that together, that's when you truly get that effective marketing. So we've broken it down into 5 steps here that you can take in any business model in your auction business, whether you're small, whether you're big. You can really apply these to every marketing campaign. So breaking it into 5 steps: defining your audiences, setting your objective, defining your audiences, choosing your medias, crafting your messages, and evaluating and maintaining throughout the campaign and after. So it looks pretty easy, but let's walk through and see if it is easy and break it down a little more into each step. Step 1, setting your objective. This is really kind of it's a fairly simple task, but it's one that's going to determine and set the path for everything else that you do in your campaign. You're essentially wanting to figure out, what do you want your marketing campaign to do? What do you want it to accomplish? Do you want to get more sellers? Do you want to get more buyers at a specific auction? What's your end goal for this to accomplish? And then once you have that, again, that lays that brickwork in a path for you to finish steps 2 through 5. So step 2 is defining your audiences. I'd be lying to you guys if I said that this was an easy process to do. Oftentimes, this is going to be one of the most intensive, time-consuming steps to an effective marketing campaign that you do. But I can tell you guys, if you spend time really honing in and figuring out who those audiences are, it is going to help you in the long run. Who do you need to reach to achieve your campaign goal? And this is not just, you need to think of this not only demographically, but geographically as well. Those two go hand in hand. So we do this by 2 ways. With the Kansas Auctioneers Association, we just had our conference here a few weeks ago, and AMM was here, as well as John Schultz came in as well, and they had some really great points, and I want to kind of blend that with step 3, or with step 2, and technology and intuition. It's okay to have that gut feeling of who is your audience. It's served us well for many auction sales and booking many auctions in the past, and that's still something that you should still be using. But the key is to pair that with the benefits of today's technology. And a lot of this technology out there for you guys to use is free. What you want to do is you want to take that gut feeling of who your buyers and sellers might be and run those through your audience insights. And there's a lot of tools, Facebook, Google, they've got really great tools out there that you can do these audience insights. And essentially what you're looking to get back is a snapshot of that person's demographics and media consumption trends that build on that gut feeling, that intuition that you have. So once you've got your audiences defined, then we really shift to choosing those medias. What media platforms will work best to reach your defined audiences and accomplish your campaign objective. And so you can start to see how everything is a building block and affects the next step that you do. You really just want to match the audience, match the media channels with the audience for the best fit. Now, I am not at this point in the game, I'm still not randomly choosing the media platforms. What I'm doing is I'm taking the media consumption data for that audience. And then I'm also looking at that from what the research groups, such as your Pew Research group and what your eMarketer group is showing, that are the most effective ways to target that defined audience. And then what I do is kind of marry them together to see. One of the interesting things too, and there's tons and tons of research about different trends in the media and print media and digital and social. And each audience is going to work with different ones of those. But if you look at some of that stuff, you start to pair that with your audiences and you get really solid media that you choose that give you good returns. And while I'm doing this, I know that Facebook's a good media channel and it works well, but I also know that there's what's called the rule of 7 out there in the advertising world. And it's that your targeted audiences need to see your message 7 times before they take action. So typically what we are finding is we are taking a multitude of medias to make our target audience see the message 7 times. So running through a quick example with this, let's say here at McCurdy Auction, we are wanting to encourage people who are downsizing their homes to sell with McCurdy Auction. Now, gut feeling tells me that this audience is probably 55 or older. They're probably married. They own their own home. And hearing the word downsizing, if we're thinking advertising, a lot of us probably think print media campaigns, newspapers. That's how we need to reach out to these. But taking a step back, does the data back our thoughts of what we want to do? So what I do is I take that audience intuition right there and I run that through the audience insights. From there, I can see that 30% of them are high school graduates, 70% have college education. Their technology use, 58% of them are only on desktop, and 42% are only on mobile users. And then a great thing with these audience insights is they give you profiles established. So 22% of this audience is firmly established. And so what I do is I take all of these consumer profile data points, I do the media consumption reports, I do the research to figure out. So what I see is that, yes, we think that print works well, but I also know that digital is a huge thing. Digital is one of the growing audiences for these baby boomer generations. And you look at this Pew Research report in 2016, 58% and 52% of that demographic prefer watching news versus reading. So while my initial gut feeling is to go all print, the data is telling me that I need to do a mixed campaign focused heavily on the digital and social media channels. So jumping in, crafting your message, it's what your message on the chosen media platforms will work best to reach your defined audiences, creating action, and in a sense, accomplishing your campaign goal. You can do step 1 and step 3 really well, but if you don't put the time and effort into step 4, your return is not going to be as strong. And I want to say too, messaging isn't just the words we use to convey a point. Messaging is the combination of words, imagery, color use, and even font type to help get your message across to those audiences. Take, for example, the importance of color. Color has the unique ability to affect our emotions and moods in ways that few other things can. Did you know, take, for example, blue. Blue can symbolize trust, peace, loyalty. Green, balance and growth. Red can convey rage and anger. And while you might not know any of that, off the top of your head, your subconscious did, and it's using that knowledge to influence the decisions that you make, whether it's who you call to sell a home, who you call to sell your personal property. All of these things affect the action that your audiences are going to take. And then the final step here, wrapping up, is that it's evaluating and maintain. That is step 5. It's often forgotten, but it makes a huge difference. Today's campaigns can no longer be kind of a set it and forget it. You've always got to be checking the success, adapting and changing messages if you need to, and then recording those successes and fail points so you have that data for the next campaign, and you can make your next campaign that much better. And so the bottom line really is that every decision you make in your marketing campaign, no matter big, no matter small, it affects the final results. These 5 steps aren't hard, fast, they have to happen or else. But if you start guiding your marketing campaigns with these in mind, the next time a major change in the world of advertising is announced, like Facebook, you'll be fine. You've got 5 proven steps to see you through anything. So that's kind of, I know we went pretty fast. And so if you have any questions throughout the rest of this or later on, feel free to email me and I'd be happy to answer.
All right, Casey, thank you so much. At this time, as we mentioned earlier, we will now open the floor to our iSeries attendees who may have questions. If you have not done so already, you can submit your question and we will do our best to get to as many of them as we are able. Casey, our first question, you were talking about some resources and research there, or some examples that you had. How much of what you showed was something that you had to pay for, or was a lot of that research just out there and you just kind of knew where to look?
A lot of that is free. If you guys start with just emarketer.com or the Pew Research Center, they've got tons of free data and free charts and articles and podcasts. If you really want to get really detailed and intricate in that, you can pay for certain of those things. But we found in our marketing research, we can find just using the free sources that these research companies offer out there for you.
Have you found one that you trust more than others? Some places, I mean, the data is good in a lot of places, but just one that maybe you value more than others?
I would say I look to the Pew Research Center as my launch point for that. They look at it from multitudes of different angles, so it's not just one person's opinions, but what they're able to do is they give you, person's A perspective and projections on this and person's B, and so it gives you the base to make your decision on it, but it still leaves it kind of just gives you that starting point to launch. So I'd say the Pew Research Center, eMarketer is a great one that we've been using as well. Those are probably my top 2 research sources that I've been using lately.
All right, next question is, in your opinion, what's the second best platform to use after Facebook in terms of social media?
In terms of social media, I've seen that it depends on what you're selling too, or what you're trying to market to. Instagram is really starting to pick up a lot of things, and with them becoming purchased by Facebook now, they've got Facebook behind them. And so they started to do a lot of cool things with advertising venues there. And so I'd say Instagram is probably the thing that I've been watching the most, second to Facebook.
I want to go back to something you were talking about in your presentation, where you were saying it's okay to have a gut feel in light of all the data that's out there. How can you explain a little bit more, or give some insight into your evolution as a marketer in how easy it was to allow more data, or maybe let go of some of the older gut feel things that may have existed? Can you just talk about how easy it was, or maybe some of the struggles that you had in coming to where you are now as a marketer in general, letting data and your gut work together?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle to get to that point. And advertising has been around for forever in different methods of using And so you've had to really embrace the data. The data doesn't lie. There's statistical numbers out there. And so if you open yourself to accepting that and trying to incorporate that in your medias and in your marketing decisions, it does really benefit you, but it's not something that you can 100% switch over in your next campaign. It's a slow moving process, and you've got to really you can get bogged down with all the data and with all the research out there that sites give you. And so you've got to kind of take it step for step and develop your own process of shifting through all that information to figure out a system that works for you, to get the research and to pair that with kind of that gut feeling that you have. So it's not going to happen overnight. It probably took us, me as a marketer, probably I would say about a 6-month process to really shift over and focus with that.
Okay, and then the next question here, this is one that a lot of folks deal with on a regular basis, is how to fit in email, and does email still fit in? And the question specifically is, do you believe that email marketing is still effective?
I think that email still has a place in today's marketing. Do I think that you can just mass email an entire list and get the results that you're looking for? No, I don't think that. Society today, with as fast moving as they are, you've got to really give them something that they value to look into it more. Looking at it on a personal level, how many emails do you get every single day? But email is really a big part of the effectiveness, I think, of emailing is your content and is your messaging, because you've got to be able to hook them to open that email. And if they open it, you're much more likely to get an effective return on that.
Can the same sort of conversation apply to newspapers then as well, I take it?
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, newspaper, while they are a declining media, they can still be extremely effective in the right use and with the right message. You've just got to be able to figure out ways to make that stand out. If your target audience is primarily newspaper readers, do a newspaper ad, but make it so that they pay attention to it.
Perfect. And then we have time for one more question here. Let's take a look forward. I know you and I in past conversations or off the record conversations, when we talk marketing things, we like to look forward. So I'm just curious, are there trends out there in the marketing world that you see could have a really strong place for auctioneers and auction professionals as they go forward with their own marketing?
I think if we pull back and look big picture, the possibilities for digital and for social advertising are really, who knows what they're going to do 6 months from now. I really think there are so many developmental trends and things happening that I really, it's hard to pinpoint one specific thing that's going to happen or that will help, but I would keep an eye on those digital and social media platforms. TED Talks are fantastic. They're a really great source for letting you see kind of what's coming down the entrepreneurial spirits in those worlds. Kind of you can get an insight for what's going to happen with those as well. But I really, digital and social is, I think, where the majority of things will be moving to.
Got it. All right, everyone. Well, that will wrap up the Q&A portion of today's event. We thank you to everyone who submitted their questions. We apologize if we didn't get to yours. Casey did mention that if you have questions, please submit those to us, and we will make sure that she gets them so that you can continue the conversation with her after we are done here today. It is now time for you to give us feedback on today's session. So as you will see here in just a moment, we will have poll questions appear on your screen. We will move fairly quickly, so please answer as swiftly as you are able. Your first question of 3, how much of a role did Facebook's recent changes to its newsfeed play into your decision to attend today's iSeries on marketing? Kind of a big question there, but obviously we all know that Facebook just had some changes to its algorithm, so we're all looking. Marketers are looking for that safe haven or that safety net for their marketing. So we're just curious, did Facebook's recent change have any influence on your decision here today? Your answer is primary reason. I have to expand my marketing tools. Some, but I plan to expand anyways, or not at all. I attended for different reasons. We'll leave that up for just a couple of seconds here. And question number 2. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score and 1 being the lowest, how would you rate today's iSeries presentation? Again, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score and 1 being the lowest, how would you rate today's iSeries presentation? I'll give you just a few seconds here to mark your answer. Okay, and the final question in today's poll. What is your primary job function? And you'll see the list of categories there. Are you an auctioneer? Are you a marketing professional? Do you generally spend your days and your working time in sales and lead generation? Are you part of the auction support team, or do you have other duties that don't fit one of those other categories? Again, what is your primary job function? Auctioneer, marketing professional, sales and lead gen, auction support team, or other? And we will give you just a few seconds to answer that question as well. Okay, and that will wrap up today's survey. Thank you so much for giving us your insights on those questions. Before we end today's session, we do have some updated information on upcoming NAA events. The State Leadership Conference is set for March 5th and 6th in Kansas City, Missouri. If you are an elected leader for your state association or you're an executive director, this event is for you. Last year, nearly 70 attendees from more than 30 states participated in learning, updates, and discussions, so you don't want to miss that. The NAA State Leadership Conference, again, set for March 5th and 6th in Kansas City. Also, a couple of additional NAA events on the horizon. The NAA Certified Auctioneers Institute is set for March 18th through the 22nd in Bloomington, Indiana. So make sure if you are thinking about taking part in CAI that you go ahead and take the steps necessary to get yourself enrolled for that ahead of time. And the NAA Personal and Commercial Assets Summit, the PCA Summit, the very first one of its kind, will be held April 9th and 10th in Raleigh, North Carolina. Information for all of those events can be found at auctioneers.org/events. Again, that is auctioneers.org/events. And we hope you will join us for that. As we close today, you will get a replay of today's session through an emailed link by the end of this week. In addition, if you are an NAA member and you've missed any previous iSeries sessions or would like to hear them again, iSeries archives are available at auctioneers.org/NAA-education. Kind of a mouthful there. We'll say that one more time. The iSeries archives are available at auctioneers.org/NAA-education. You do need to be an active member, and you will need to log in to access those. And finally, an iSeries programming note, instead of 2 months from now, mark your calendars. The next iSeries webinar will be Wednesday, March 14th, so just a little over a month from now, Wednesday, March 14th at 2 p.m. Central, and we will be exploring building your commercial real estate business. Be sure to sign up for that one as we dive into commercial real estate. We will be sending specific information on that in the near future, but really the more important part of that, making sure that you remember that it is only a month from now and not 2 months, so you don't want to miss that. Thank you again to Casey for sharing her insight today, and thank you to all of you for taking part in today's NAA iSeries. It will conclude today's webinar. Have a great day, and remember that the NAA iSeries exists because it's about you. Have a great day, everybody.